Welcome back to the Savage Patriots, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, Marlon's still out. Again, Marlon will be back next week. Today, we're going to discuss the incident in Baltimore with the boat and the bridge, which was very interesting. It's a huge topic right now because a lot of people are dissecting the video, which in today's technical age, this is what people do. You know, they can't just throw something out and people just believe it, take it for face value. People are actually going to break the videos down. So today we're going to break the video down and we're going to, give our take on it, our opinion on what we think that happened. And we're going to have a good time. So with that said, we'll see you on the other side. And welcome back to the future. Fast forward. Yeah, man. Remember when we were talking about Diddy last episode and we talked about how keep your eyes open. This is a shiny object. There's something else going to happen. We said that. And lo and behold.
It didn't happen it happened within 3 hours when we got off.
Exactly. But we did say it. We said something else is going to happen. This is a distraction. Keep your eyes on what's going on. And lo and behold, like Jay said, 3 hours later, boom.
I actually have a new theory that most people aren't covering. Like, I know a lot of people are saying that this event was a cyber attack or whatever. Yeah. But they're not saying it's in response to. And I think I have a good theory for what actually happened and why this happened.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to see it. So what's this first one you got pulled up here?
This is the time lapse of what happened. So like we need to have context, obviously. So let's play the actual time lapse video.
Before we go ahead, can we just acknowledge the stupidity of the Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg on how he says that the construction of the bridge is directly tied to racism?
Yeah, I've got that clip.
Yeah, that clip was sent to the group chat. So we're gonna pull that up and we're really gonna break that down.
Okay, just making sure.
For the YouTube demagogues out there, fair use, please. These videos are all over the interweb. This is all fair use. And we're gonna all right, Coy, whenever you're ready, man.
All right, so here's the time lapse. Obviously, this is over a bit. So I'm not sure the exact time frame, but we can see it right here in the top left corner. It actually has the time stamp for everything. So just pointing out there, keep track of the time. This is over more than a few minutes, right? So the ship's going in, and there's going to be a loss of power. There's the first loss of power right here, right? And the ship the lights go off. And then it takes a couple of minutes for the actual emergency generator to kick back on. Yeah, this is looking like it's over 5 minutes. Okay, here's the recovery. They brought it back. That's where the emergency generator, but it's still thick black smoke. It's still turning into the bridge. Over the last couple of minutes, it's been turning to the right towards the bridge. Not towards the opening, but towards the support structure. And it keeps turning, right? That's a dead heading.
Yeah.
For that. Not even going to scrape it. It's dead center. And it loses power again. Right? This is over 2 minutes, right? A time lapse of 2 minutes so far. And then they recover again, but it's still turning straight dead on for that pillar.
Right.
Right. And it keeps turning. Even if you try to explain this away with currents wouldn't be that methodical with that turn over a couple of minutes. Yeah. That looks like steering.
Exactly.
I mean, right? Even when you're looking at the water, there's no currents to direct it. that.
No, even the harbor currents have these weird things where they'll go all over the place, right? Because of how when the water comes in, it does more of a kind of a circular motion into harbors. So it could change. Hence why they have pilot boats, right? This is why they lead giant boats out of the harbor safely. Hence what that was supposed to be.
Do you see them?
But
do you see any pilot boats?
No, you
Tugboats?
don't. But
No,
there is a local crew on board a Singaporean vessel. Just want to point that out. It's too late. So even though they recovered, it still was turning that entire time into it. And then it collapsed.
Cars were still on the bridge when that happened.
Oh yeah, no, there was tons of cars. They also like you can bring up the Coast Guard guy because he says it too. That there was no warning sound. There was no horn. They weren't even doing anything to warn people on the bridge that something was bad was about to happen.
Yeah, there was something else I watched on the turn. They're saying that the crew did drop the anchor. This is what someone was saying, but they dropped the anchor on what side would that be? Closest to the bridge? You know this ship talk. I don't know the ship talk.
Wait, what are you talking about?
They dropped the anchor, but they dropped the anchor on the side closest to the bridge instead of the opposite side, which would have probably turned the ship away from if the anchor was working right or whatever.
I'm trying to remember my left
starboard
on the left.
starboard.
Yeah, on the left side of the ship should have been where they dropped it if that was the case. Because if they're trying to get it to so they're trying to not turn into it, right? So it's going head on. If you want to do that, you want to drop it on the left side so you pull your nose this way.
Exactly.
Away from it. But they didn't. They dropped it on the right side to pull it more in.
Yes.
With that steer. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so they're saying they dropped it on the right side. And that's why
which would have pulled it more to the right, which is what happened.
Pulled it that far to the right. Because if the power was out, and if it makes sense, so they say the power went out. Okay, let's say the power.
Why the power went out? Yeah, that's the question too. Why did it go out?
Let's say the power went out. Let's say that. Let's give them that. The power went out. They lost power. So the boat's still going, and you want to stop it because you lost power. Why would you drop the anchor on the side closest to the bridge, knowing that it would turn you into the bridge?
See, here's the other question. I don't know if these liners actually only have one main anchor that they use, or if they have duals they have on both sides of it. If that was the case, if they're really trying to stop it as fast as they could, they should have dropped both anchors or however many anchors they had in order to stop it in its track. Because we're talking about hundreds of tons of ship and cargo. You're not stopping on a dime, just like you're not going to stop on a dime on a semi going down the highway, right? You have to do everything in your power, or you have to shift it away in an off ramp, right? That's why they have those down certain hills, right? For the semis to go into if they lose control. There's nothing here. And there's a better yet question is that with everything that we have in terms of infrastructure, why are there no guards against people running into main support structures for bridges?
Exactly.
Especially in one of the biggest and major supply hubs on the East Coast, one of the biggest harbors on the East Coast, and you're not protecting the bridge that leads in and out of it.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. And another thing I want the audience to think about, remember the name of the bridge. I want you to think about that because, conspiracy bro is going to talk about some conspiracy. And if I don't know if Jay and Coy understand where I'm going when it comes to the name, and then think outside the box. I want you to think outside the box when it comes to the name.
The better question is, do people know who Francis Scott Key is?
Well, yeah, we'll get into that, but we're about to play this first video. Is it the Coastie?
Yeah, the one that's the dude on there is the Coastie, and the next one is the aerial shots of the bridge.
I'm also wondering, if the power went out, are you able to still operate? Is the anchor manually done?
It can be. There's a reason why it can be manually done. They would have to kick it off.
Right.
Not kick it off, but like basically manually open it and it would drop.
Right. And then that would speak to either intentionality or incompetence.
Incompetence is the easiest explanation, but that's not what I'll
All right,
I'll
Coy.
explain my
So
rationale for it later.
right now, I'm seeing the aerial shot. Can you put the coastie back? Because all I got right now in front of me. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry.
It's on there. Should be on there.
Disregard. Disregard. All right. So this former Coast Guard is going to break down his opinion or what he knows how things are supposed to work, especially when you're coming into port. So pay close attention to what he said.
Let me be that dude, the retired coastie, to tell you, ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way that no tanker ship is gonna crash into no bridge at night by mistake. Question to all my coasties out there, where the pilot boat at?
Mm-hmm.
And where the tugboats at? And where's the horn? The warning, the crash warning before it hits. I ain't hear no warning. I ain't hear no nothing. I'ma leave that with y'all. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. And it's a couple days after that Russia attack. Don't let that go over your head, my people.
Boom. And it makes sense. You know, think about us people that us service members that aren't on the water. Whenever we're moving vehicles, Coy, whenever we're moving vehicles in a congested area around vehicles, around personnel, what do we have to have?
You have to have a guide.
You have to have a guide. You have to have someone that's directing that big vehicle that you're moving through this very condensed area or any type of area where there's a lot of things around to where it's possibility of hitting or damaging it. So you have guides there
or running people over.
So it's the same concept when it comes to any boat that's going through a port, very condensed area. Just think about when you're out in, you know, an area with a port and boats are going by near bridges. What do you always hear? Like you said, you always hear them. They acknowledge their presence. Wah, letting people know there's a boat coming in. Wah, you know, so it makes sense. And I would take the coastie's word over any politician's word.
Yeah. I mean, it's still one person's opinion, but like it's still one of those things. Like a lot of people are going, this doesn't make any sense. Nothing of this makes sense. There's too many variables for it to not think that, hey, maybe this was an attack. It was a cyber attack, because everything else is like too far fetched. Like there has to be like this magical circumstances of everything happening perfectly for this ship to run into a bridge, right? They got to lose power. They got to drop the anchors wrong. The currents pulled them into it. Right, 3 things have to happen all the same in order for this to happen. Like it's a freak accident,
and also
when the simplest explanation could be it's a cyber attack.
And also for them to hit that single point dead on, just perfectly, just boom, you know. So here's the next one. Here's the aerial footage of the attack, and then we're going to go into the video. We're going to show you the route of the boat, and which makes no sense. Here you go.
Yeah, here, let me bring it up. There you go. Here's the aerial shots of the bridge. Like people, like it makes it look really small, but this is actually massive. Like this is huge. Because you got to think of the size of a shipping container and what that looks like, right?
Look at those explosions at top.
It's not. And look how much of the bridge they actually took out, though. That's the big thing here.
Yeah,
is that this is a large bridge. It's not a small bridge. It spans a good almost a mile, almost 2, something like that. I don't know how long it actually is, but it's long. It's not a small bridge, and it's a major bridge.
Now, my question is: do these bridges get tested just like a building? Can it withstand a certain amount of force from a boat? Because whenever they build these bridges, they obviously have to take this into account, right? They have to take into account that if something hits it, how much force could this pillar take?
Well, I mean, I would venture to say that if it's Baltimore, Maryland, isn't that Hurricane Alley?
Yeah,
close to it.
I think so. Yeah, maybe.
Yep.
Or at least tropical storm. So it's got to withstand that amount of force.
Yes.
So
I'm just asking the question because when it hit that pillar, right? It seemed like the boat almost came to a dead stop at that point. It hit, and it stayed. It didn't push through. It didn't keep going. You know, with that amount of force, you figure it'll push through that pillar and it'll probably keep going just a little bit because it's so big. But it came to a dead stop. So that means that pillar stopped the boat. It was powerful enough to stop it, but it wasn't strong enough to stop the bridge from collapsing in 3 different areas. You saw where it broke off. You know what I mean? If you go back and watch it, you can see all the places where it snapped from that impact.
Well, I got another one too. Here's a close view of the vessel on the bridge. But like I said, we're talking about tons. We're like hundreds of tons. Like, it's a massive ship. So it's not surprising it could do that much damage. But at the same time, where was the pilot boat? There should have been somebody leading them out of the harbor. It's a whole job of a harbor master and like making sure that stuff happens.
All right, so there's the anchor we talked about. Remember, we said they dropped anchor.
Yeah,
there it is,
you said
right
it was
there.
on the left side, but that's the left side.
Yeah, that's the left side.
So they dropped the anchor, then it pulled it into the.
No, that's the right side, isn't it? Or that's the left side.
No, that's the left
All
side.
right, or did it drop dual anchors? I want to see.
I don't know. That's what I'm looking at. I don't see it because I'm assuming there would be
know.
one on the other side.
No, I don't.
If there's 2 anchors, but it doesn't
Unless it
look
was
like
taken
it.
out.
So,
No, it's like one.
so it makes no sense.
It might have been underneath that, where
But all right,
it would have been
let's
like
go-
in this area, same as this side
Yeah.
right here.
So let's go with the point that, okay, let's say there wasn't an anchor on the right side. They did drop it on the left side. If the anchor was dropped on the left side,
It would have pulled it into it more.
Yeah.
Because if they wanted to pull away, they probably would have done it on the other side. But what that did when it dropped that anchor on the left side, it pulled it straight into the bridge. If
Right.
that was the case,
okay.
and then they're saying that it was the anchor that pulled it, and the currents were pulling it. So double pulls.
So it's opposite then. So if they drop it on the left side, it's going to turn it to the right. It's not gonna pull it to the left with the anchor.
But it's hard to look at it because like, you have to look at the videos of it happening.
Yeah, I want to see if we can actually see if the anchor in the video, and we probably won't be able to see it.
It's too dark. I don't
Yeah,
think
it
you'd
was
be
way
able to
too
see
dark.
it, and it's too small. Like that, that anchor you're not gonna be able to see from that far away.
I don't know. I don't know. It's just real.
Looking
fishy to me.
at it straight on. Yes, it would have pulled it into it because you got to think it was coming from this side, right? And then it turned into it.
So it was.
It was on the. I don't know. It might. I don't.
Well,
It's hard. It's hard to decide.
If I'm remembering correctly, the boat from my vantage point looking forward, the boat was doing this.
Yeah.
Which is here's the front. So if they were to drop anchor, it stopped. It looked like it stepped right in front of the pylon, the pillar.
Yeah.
And if they were to drop anchor, they would have.
Let me bring it back up again.
This side.
Like this.
Yeah, that's what the question I'm asking. Jay's getting. You understand what I'm asking?
Yeah.
I do.
I get what you're saying too. All right, here I got the.
I'm just trying to.
video
Because I'm
back
not a
up.
coastie. I'm
Let's
not
bring
a
it back up.
Navy guy. I'm a grunt. My
I
transportation.
mean, I've been on boats, but I'm not a Navy guy, so like
yeah, but you've been, you're Department of the Navy, but
Marines are not the same thing though. It's like
I
I'm
know,
not driving
I know.
boats, man.
I know. I'm just
Okay, so yeah, no, if it was on the left side, it should have pulled it to
the left. It would have to. It would have.
Yeah,
had
'cause,
to
like,
pull
it-
it.
yeah. So they're saying they dropped anchor around there, and that still pulled it. Yeah, I think that even if they did, it would actually if it was on that left side, it still would have pulled
To the right.
Mhm.
It still would have pulled it straight into it. That actually probably made it worse, if
Yeah.
anything.
Oh, because it was probably if we're playing devil's advocate here because I have my own feeling on this, but so if they dropped anchor there, by the time I don't know,
I still don't understand why they were coming in that way.
I don't understand
with.
the
Well, so
turn.
here's the thing though, like a boat, like the way boats work, it's governed by momentum, and so if it's continually going in that direction, the only thing that'll stop it
Yeah.
will be something of a greater force to stop it. And so as it was going, it loses power, so it's still holding that trajectory.
Mhm.
And then the person who was manning the wheel was probably turning at the time, whether incompetence or intention, we don't know quite yet. And then the Singaporean guy's like, drop anchor, and then they drop the anchor. And
No, it was a local crew. The crew that was supposed to be on there wasn't on there.
oh, so it was okay. So then drop anchor.
Because they're the ones that, because that's one of the reasons they're saying there wasn't a pilot boat, is because they had the pilot crew on board driving the boat. So they should have known better. But even then, with that large of a ship, why would you not have a pilot boat in case something like this happened in the first place? If they had a pilot boat, none of this would have happened, right?
Right. And then what about manifests and paperwork?
But here, this is the harbor. This is all of the harbor. This is a major harbor in the United States where tons of shipments come in every single year, right? And so I'm assuming the way that they were coming, they came from over on this section right here, right? Because if they came in this section, they wouldn't be coming like alongside the bridge, which I don't understand why they would be coming alongside of the bridge.
Yeah, that's
that
I don't understand.
At night.
I don't
like,
understand
I get
that.
According to what we saw, like according to the video, which we don't have a wide enough angle of that video, I don't know how many other ships were there if they really needed to be have that much of a wide berth, but why were they going alongside of the bridge like that instead of going kind of down center? Yeah. They even if they came from this side, they would have plenty of time to turn it that way.
Yeah,
to come out center, which is what I'm assuming they were trying to do, was go down center.
Yeah, I put an actual video that actually shows the route. It was an illustration, and someone actually broke the route down, and it makes you question, like, what the heck were they doing?
It's a lot of questions. It's a lot of questions and no answers.
Yeah,
like where's Buttigieg?
Yeah, let's go to the one where it shows the actual route.
Do you have that one?
I sent it to the group chat. Let me see if I can resend it. It's the actual route, and it's an illustration that breaks it all down.
Okay. Yeah, I've got it now.
Yeah. So this actually shows the route, and when you watch this, you actually have to ask yourself, like, what was this boat, or what was the crew, whoever was in charge of it, whoever was on it? We actually probably know who was involved, but we'll break that down. All right, so here's the actual illustration of the actual route, and it breaks it.
Do you want to leave the sound on or off for this one?
You can leave it off. We don't need the sound.
Okay, leave it off. All right, so here we go. Right of how the ship hit the bridge. So it's going through like what I was talking about, right? I think that's where is that? Yeah, it's coming out of one of the ports that I was thinking of. So it's heading to Sri Lanka. Interesting.
Yes.
And it turned.
But watch the turn. Look at the turn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess according to the video, it looked more like it was more alongside of it than it was. Yeah, that turn is weird.
Very.
Because it just like turned straight into it. Yeah, that was weird. Because it was heading. So that's probably where they lost power, was back here. And then it's just started to turn. And then it just kind of went straight into. Yeah, it's a weird turn.
Yeah, I don't get it.
It's a weird turn.
I don't get it.
And why would you make that turn when you were headed straight through between the two pillar points for the structure of the bridge? Like you could have just passed right on through, even if you did lose power.
Very, very interesting. But you know, the more and more this story is out, the more people are going to break this down, and the truth will come out. The truth always comes out. But to Pete I'm gonna say his name right.
But
Pete
Buttigieg.
Of course, the left has to turn everything into racist and victimhood and everything else. So here's Pete Buttigieg talking about the bridges, and And I want you to use your critical thinking and kind of get where they're alluding to. Remember, I talked about Francis Scott Key in the very beginning.
Yeah.
You're going to see where I'm getting, where I'm getting at. And then we're going to break down why Biden wants to pay for the full bridge. And instead of the insurance companies paying for the bridge, the federal government wants to pay for the bridge. And then you can kind of put it all together and understand where I'm going.
They're going to rebuild it and then rename it.
Oh, good. Thanks for giving it away, Coy. Let people think.
Sorry, I was just thinking is like that's the only thing that would make sense. Like, why would the government pay for it instead of the insurance? But it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
To think. We want them.
That makes sense. It's like Francis Scott Key is racist, and we have to change the name, like everything else.
If an underpass was constructed such that a bus carrying mostly Black and Puerto Rican kids to a beach, or it would have been in New York, was designed too low for it to pass by, that obviously reflects racism that went into those design choices. I don't think we have anything to lose by confronting that simple reality, and I think we have everything to gain by acknowledging it and then dealing with it, which is why the Reconnecting Communities, that $1 billion, is something we want to get to work right away.
Speaking of which, where did that infrastructure money go to? Because I don't think any infrastructure planning has actually been done or built.
I mean, you got to be kidding me, right? This man gets up here on camera and he says, Black and Puerto Rican kids riding on a bus. So you're assuming that Black and Puerto Rican kids are the only ones that ride public transportation, which is racist in itself.
I mean, he is a gay white liberal savior, so...
You see where they're getting at now. If you get down and you break down, who Francis Scott Key is, every American, I think, should know who he is.
You should know.
Even if you don't agree with the song's original version of the song, he did write the national anthem.
Mm-hmm. Star Spangled Banner.
Star Spangled Banner, national anthem. And then if you break it down, the bridge was named after him. They destroyed the bridge. And then the federal government comes in and says, we're going to pay to get their bridge rebuilt, because on both sides, don't they have insurance? I'm pretty sure that bridge is insured. So instead of them using their insurance policy, their insurance money, the federal government says, we're going to give you the money to rebuild it. And guess what else that they're probably going to do, like Coy stated earlier? We're going to rename the bridge after George Floyd.
The George Floyd Memorial Bridge.
Where is George Floyd from? Where did that happen?
Well, he lost his breath in Minnesota.
Okay.
I don't know where he's from. Isn't he from North Carolina?
No. Where did he lose his life? It was in Minnesota.
Yeah,
Okay.
Minneapolis, I believe.
Minneapolis. And I don't know. I was just throwing that name out there, but you see where they're getting at. And you see how Pete is gaslighting people to think that the creation of these bridges had racist intent because only people of color ride public transportation, and the buses couldn't get under or over for them to get to point A to point B. So we're going to rename the bridge after whoever they plan on naming it after. It's probably going to be somebody that's part of one of the marginalized communities.
Yeah.
And they're going to name the bridge after them. You'll see. If I was in charge of Baltimore, I'd be like, we don't want your money. We're going to rebuild the bridge and we're going to keep the name what it is. They don't want it. Well, remember, the left likes to erase history. Yes, do we have our historical past? It's not as good. It's not that good, of course. And when you name one country that's past historically is good. But what the left likes to do, they like to rewrite history so they can say they were the saviors. They can rewrite out and the history they're trying to get rid of is their history. Mm-hmm. Remember that. It's their history. They don't want the future to talk about. I don't know.
Here's an interesting thing. So that infrastructure bill, not a single bit of it went to Maryland.
Of course.
And when did they draft the bill, though? That's the question.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, they probably drafted it.
The infrastructure bill passed 2 years ago.
They probably drafted their, this $1 billion, when they.
I brought up the numbers. Bring it up real quick. Here, I'll show you an interesting thing.
When they were sitting in their dark little dungeon planning this thing. They were like, slide it over here. I'll sign it.
Like every it looks like all of them are getting something. but not enough. Like it's funny. So guess who's getting the most?
California, of course.
Yeah, right in next to Texas, which makes sense. But it's still crazy to me that I'm trying to find Maryland on that list, but it moved over on me.
Yeah, and think about this. You know, we've had a couple disasters that they like to say, these chance disasters that happened in our country over the last year. Maui, Palestine.
And here it is. It was 7.4 billion is what it was supposed to go.
We've had all these
and for
other
bridges was 409 million.
We've had all these disasters, so-called, you know, natural disasters, you know, over the last year. We had Maui, we had Palestine, there were some others that happened. And when Maui happened, Texas, and Maui and Texas and all these other places.
Processing plants.
When did the government come out immediately saying we're going to give them $1 billion to rebuild? Did Maui get $1 billion to rebuild?
People got $700.
No, they didn't. You know, they didn't get dick.
You know what I mean? Think about that. Think about this money that the government's giving. You think the government's going to give Baltimore this money without a catch-22?
Well, I will say though, is it well? I think the government will kind of sort of kowtow because the leadership of Baltimore is in fact the Black Caucus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they might push. And the government be like, oh, okay, well, here's a little. You
ever been to Baltimore?
A long time ago.
Have you been to Baltimore recently? Like
No.
in the last 5 years?
No,
I would say it's not a fun place. It's not a fun place. I'll tell you that.
Go ahead, Jay.
What
was your point?
Oh no, I'm just saying I think the government might give out little crumbs here and there, but I don't think they're going to fully fund anything.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, there's going to be a catch-22.
Yeah.
You got something else, Coy?
Yeah. Have you actually seen the Baltimore mayor?
Yeah, black guy, young guy.
Yeah, young black dude. It was interesting, but people are making fun of him because he sounded like he was giving a post-game interview.
Yeah, and I get where he was coming at. They were asking about rebuilding the bridge, and he did come out and say, "We're not worried about the bridge. We're worried about the people, and the people that are still trapped down there are drowning.
Yeah,
not alive." So I kind of get where he was going, but you know, I'm pretty sure he's a Democrat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
I'm pretty sure he's going to take that money 100%. And I'm pretty sure that he's going to be down with changing the name and erasing history, even though Francis Scott Key will never be erased, even though they're trying to get rid of the national anthem. But that's next. Once Francis Scott Key's bridge is gone, they'll go after the national anthem. They'll change that too, because they've been talking about it. But that's not.
Well, here he is. So for people that haven't actually seen him.
What side is this from?
This is on X, but this is CBS News.
Everyone, this is a unthinkable tragedy. We have to first and foremost pray for all of those who are impacted, those families. Pray for our first responders and thank them, all of them working together, city, state, local, to make sure that everyone. This is a
It's just the tone. I think it made people feel a little uneasy.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he just came back from a sports bar. I get it. That's why people are looking at him like that. But he is the mayor, and he was right about not talking about rebuilding the bridge, because it's kind of insensitive for the media to come out and ask him about rebuilding. Well, what about the people? Let's talk about all the lives lost first, and then we'll get to the rest of that.
Which isn't surprising to me. And you shared that audio of people calling 911 from the bridge. That's a heart-wrenching.
Yes, and I sent that to the group chat too. Also,
do you want me to bring that up?
Yeah, trigger warning. Trigger warning. We're gonna. We are.
Context is king. We gotta hear it from all sides.
Yeah. It's a trigger warning. And it is audio of 911 calls of the people calling in saying that they're trapped. So if you can't handle it, a call or listening to people that are in distress, you can go ahead and mute up.
But
Just
it's also a really important thing to share with, because some people don't actually know how to get out of cars when they're sinking.
yeah. So
it's a good PSA, just so you know, because like this could happen to you. Like you never know when it's gonna anything's gonna happen to you. But these people weren't prepared for it.
mhm.
So this will probably help you.
911, what's your emergency?
Hello? Oh my God. Please help me.
What's happening?
I'm underwater. I'm drowning. I'm so scared. My car is sinking.
Okay, where are you?
I'm under the Baltimore Key Bridge. The bridge collapsed while I was driving.
What? What do you mean the bridge collapsed?
I don't know. It was like something hit it. My car, it's filling up fast with water. Help me. Now please help me.
Listen to me very carefully. You need to try and open the door or break a window to get out. Can you do that?
The door, it won't budge. It's jammed or something. I'm going to try the window. Broke the window. Water's rushing in faster now.
Excellent. Keep talking to me. Tell me when you're out of the car.
Okay, I swam out. I'm holding on to a piece of the bridge. Oh my God, the bridge is destroyed. He is gone.
Oh my God, you're right. I see it on the news. Okay, hold on tight. I send the signal. The help is on the way.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me say something. Am I the only one that thought those calls sounded like they were AI generated?
A tiny bit. Yeah, I thought so too.
I
but
mean,
it's still,
come on, let's be honest here.
No,
Though,
yeah.
I mean, I get it. You know, this came out or
What-
wherever it came from, but
what it probably-
how
the
come
reason
it
the-
sounded like they were computer generated calls? She was like,
this
"Excellent."
is my explanation. I think it's because it was cut to match time. Like it was probably a longer conversation or call that would have had better nuances, and like, but they cut out all the dead space to make it more compressed, which is the only explanation I can think of why it sounds like that.
Well, my explanation is that it's AI generated, and it
Could be too.
sounded a little bit, you know, because
Without trying to sound insensitive, because if it wasn't AI,
I'm not
let's
trying to
preface
sound,
that.
and you get where I'm going, Jay. I'm not trying to sound insensitive, but I want truth. You know what I mean? And if that is some computer generated phone call to mess with people's emotions and feelings, to pull on their heartstrings, I think that is very wrong.
Yeah.
So that's why when I was listening to it, it didn't sound like genuine. You know what I mean? It just sounded like it was computer.
Another
I don't
thing
know.
too-
Maybe go back and listen to it, people. You know, you can go back and rewatch the episode and listen to it for yourself. And I'll post the video on the Savage Patriots, so you guys can go and listen to it for yourself. Again, we're not trying to be insensitive here, but just listening to it. And I'm not trying to say anybody wasn't in distress or phone calls didn't happen. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is this tape sounded a little off to me.
What to me, especially when the guy said the water's filling up fast, there didn't seem to be any sort of weight behind the emotion to it. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
maybe
Like,
they didn't want to show send out the worst ones, which were out all like completely chaotic and screaming.
That's possible.
I don't know.
Possible.
It's possible, but like I said, one of the things is like it's an important fact that most people do not know how to get out of cars when it's flooding. The first thing you should do as soon as you know you're going into the water is open up your door, because as soon as you get in the water, you're not going to be able to open up the door. The only way out is going to be the window. So you can either roll the bitch down or you need to break it as soon as possible. And one of the easiest ways, if you don't have anything else, is grab that metal piece on your seatbelt and start cracking it in the corner until it breaks.
Yeah, and
Right?
there's a lot of tools that you could find online that will help you escape from situations like that. So it's always good to have something in your car, especially like window break or anything to break a window, anything to cut a seat belt, anything like that. Because the first thing like Coy said, open your doors, take off your seatbelt, because you don't want to get trapped in it. Take your seatbelt off. If you got kids, you want to make sure, they're out of their seatbelt. So when it's time to get out of there, you get out. So,
yeah. And the other thing is, so if you're already in and you're already sinking, depending on how deep the water is going to be, get to the back of the back window, break that window, and as soon as the water rushes in, you go out with it.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do, because like if you try to go out from the side, it's going to give you too much room. You want to have the car underneath you when you go up. So if you're underwater and you're already underwater and it's filling up fast, get to the back window, break it, get out. That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a scary situation because you got to figure those people were probably at that time coming home from work, going to and from wherever they were going, and all of a sudden they're falling off a bridge into water
At the dead of night.
in the middle of the night, and they have no idea what's going on. No one knows what's going on through their heads. I mean, just imagine the amount of panic and chaos that's happening at that moment. So, pray for the victims. I always say that because, no one expects to go, and it can happen just like that.
Right.
What else?
It's amazing to me. Like a lot of this, like a lot of people are blaming it on the infrastructure bill, and I don't think it has anything to do with that. Could they have used it to put guards in there or redone the bridge? Sure, fine. It took them 5 years to build the bridge. It wouldn't have been done even if they did start to rebuild it anyway. It's going to take another 5 years before a new bridge is done. Probably 10 years if we're being honest with the way current bureaucracy works in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So but the point is that bridge is a major thoroughfare for one of the largest ports in the United States, right? The amount of revenue lost and chaos this has caused is crazy. So the symbolism of the bridge, which we've already brought up, Francis Scott Key, is the author of Star Spangled Banner, which is a national song, right? Mm-hmm. So this happens a couple of days after the attack in Russia. So let me put this out there. Let me go down this rabbit hole for you. This is my theory. So a couple of days after a ISIS group went into a theater in Moscow and killed a bunch of people, who was then caught trying to cross the border back into Ukraine. According to them, they're claiming they're Tajikistan people, so they're related to ISIS. Is what they're claiming. But they were hired with money to perpetrate the attack. Right? That's what's being claimed on Russian television and state media. So I'm not taking Russia's word for it because we're at war with Russia, obviously. So Russia gets attacked. They blame the U.S. and Ukraine for it, right? A couple of days later, in a very major bridge with a significant patriotic name, Francis Scott Key, in a major port on the United States is made to collapse. I think it was a purposeful attack by Russian agents, or better yet, or even China. Who knows? We can throw them in there. But I think it's more likely that Russia perpetrated an attack on the United States to collapse that bridge through a cyber attack.
And the Trojan horse that was used to cause the attack was the vessel itself.
It was a retaliation for the theater attack. I think that's exactly what it was. I think it was a retaliation attack by foreign state actors, because the only thing that makes sense to me is that Russia was attacked. They blame the United States. They have to respond to the United States, but they don't want to be their fingerprints on it. Best thing to do: cyber attack, accidental impact on a very famous bridge in a major port that's going to cause damage to the United States and cause damage economically to the United States with minimal loss of life. Some loss of life, but minimal loss of life. We're talking like what? Less than 10 people died in this incident, right? Yeah. But will cost America more financially. So to me, that makes sense.
And with the current state of affairs in terms of our bureaucracy, the fact that we're also hemorrhaging funds at the same time.
The way that the administration has reacted to it is the most telling. They are insisting and shutting down anybody that questions this was not anything other than an accident. They're going hard for saying all this was an accident. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. That's what they're doing. That's what's making people go, Was it really then? Because you're
Mhm.
going really hard on it was an accident, and you're not even entertaining the possibility this was an attack.
Yeah, that to me is a little sus.
Yeah, so it's sus to anybody with a brain. You go, was it really an accident, or maybe we did some things that have made certain people angry in the world, and they finally took a strike at us, and now they're saying that it wasn't? Because like last thing Biden needs is another failure on his part. So it benefits the administration to say it was an accident versus we were attacked by Russia.
Mhm.
Or China for that matter. I mean, China could be the ones that did it too, sure. But more than likely, I think it was Russia. Because of the response to the theater attack. That's what I think it is. I think it was a proportional response according to them.
That's a good theory. I mean, I don't agree, but yeah, I can see your point. And the port masters were Ukrainian. One of them was from Ukraine.
Yeah.
One of the harbor masters, and one was, I think, from Sri Lanka. So, you know, who knows, man, in this movie that we're playing in, I don't see Russia or China attacking us.
They have been. That's the thing people don't understand. They have been. They've already been doing cyber attacks relentlessly for the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's what we're told. I want to see it for myself. I don't care what they tell us. What I'm saying is I don't see them attacking us because I don't believe anything our government says. They could say it was Russia. They could say it was China. I do not trust or believe them at all.
The reason I say that I think it's true is because of how fast they're saying it's an accident. Right. So if they're saying that they were being attacked, right? So take a look at the instance of them trying to ban TikTok, right? They're saying that they're collecting all this data and things like that, but they're not going after them for doing cyber attacks left and right on United States infrastructure, which has been happening, right? But they don't tell anybody that's happening because they don't want to let people know that we're vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So them saying that it's an accident means it probably wasn't an accident. And so they're trying to PR wise, look at this PR wise. We're coming in election year. Joe Biden already has dipping polls. For them to admit that we were attacked by a foreign adversary and succeeded, no less, in destroying a bridge in a major port. What does that say to you? No confidence in your ability to lead or protect Americans on American soil. That is the worst thing they could get in the 2024 season, is an attack on the United States that they were failed to protect and failed to protect from.
Well, you know, for me, I think it was I think our own government did it personally. And with Pete Buttigieg getting up there talking about races, bridges, and everything else, I think our own government did it to take our eye off of something else. And this is why they're coming in so fast to help fix it. They can say it, yeah, they can say it's an accident on our side too. If they did it, they can be like, oh, it was an accident. You know, and then it's easy to blame a foreign adversary to do what? So to give more money into the military industrial complex, to give them a reason for us to go to war with Russia. So it's easy to say, oh, Russia did it or China did it when no real proof but their word or what they're saying.
But
it's so much easier for our own government to conduct an attack like that than it would be for a foreign adversary to do it.
I don't know. I mean, I see both perspectives working in tandem.
Yeah.
So the reason I say that they couldn't use it, because yes, they do want more funding for Ukraine, but that would mean admitting that they're incompetent.
Of course,
because they failed to take this as it is. So, but the fact that they're shutting down any investigation into it is sus.
Yeah, they don't have to admit they're incompetent because we all know they're incompetent. Half the country knows they're incompetent. They don't have to admit it. We just look at them.
But this would prove it.
Yeah, every single day.
Even more.
Yeah, I mean, the proof is there. They just, like you said, of course, they're not going to come out and say we're incompetent. I don't think anybody's going to come out and ever say that they're incompetent. But I don't know, man. Something's just fishy, and I want to know why the harbor master was Ukrainian. One of them was
Ukrainian loyalist, or just
he was a Ukrainian here on a visa. This is why it's kind of sus to me. You know, I don't trust Ukraine as far as I can throw them. I would trust the other guy before I would trust that guy.
Okay.
Straight
up. I'll throw another like possible theory and evidence to that is that, do you remember the bridge to Crimea that the Ukrainians bombed?
Yes.
still fits in the proportionality response. You took out a bridge, we took out a bridge.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know what's going on, man. We're just throwing, these are our opinions, okay? These are theories. We're just throwing them out there. We're just, thinking a little bit. We're not saying we're right. We're not saying who's right. We're not saying we're wrong. We're not saying anything. We're just saying, we're war gaming here. We're like, okay, what if this country, or that's all we're doing. But
it said it's a theory. I don't know if it's right or not.
It's a theory. So for me, I look at a lot of operations that America has done in our own soil to cause a conflict. That's the way my brain works. And this is easy for them with all the hype about Russia and China. It's easy for them to do something like this, blame it on a foreign adversary eventually.
Right. But that's the problem. They're not.
Yeah, but they will eventually. They will. Remember, they didn't 9/11. Oh, we found the passport of this guy. So
they were able to find out them real quick, weren't they?
Yeah, and then they're going to be like, oh, the harbor master was a Russian loyalist, and and they're Russian. You know what I mean? So we're going to watch it play out over the next few days. But I can see them and I can kind of agree with Coy on the fact that Russia would have some type of involvement based off what our own propaganda media tells us. Oh, Russia, he was a Russian loyalist. This harbor master was a Russian loyalist, and they caused this. Now we have to go to war with Russia. And I'm just saying, you got to think
they have plenty of other ways to do that. I think if they were going to do that, they would have already used it because they've already been trying to push that for a while. But I think the reason they're not is because that would admit that they were vulnerable and incompetent in an election year.
Yeah, but
both points hold plausibility. I mean,
yes.
Our government could definitely do something like that, but I also can't discount the reality that because Russia and China have always been, throwing cyber attacks towards us, that this could very well be part of their purview to do that as well. So
I'm going to say it. That Russian attack that was planned by someone. Ukraine doesn't have the capabilities or abilities to plan an attack like that, killing 130 something people. That came from somewhere else. And then when
they're claiming it's a CIA, it was a CIA operation.
When he starts getting down to the nitty gritty and he starts figuring out, who's involved, CIA, American government, all this stuff. What does America think? If it is Russia, what do you think he's supposed to do? Just sit back and take it? You think he's just yeah?
That's why I'm saying this is a response from Russia for the theater attack.
Yeah, it could be.
It has to be. It has to be. They won't admit it. They did it, but I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense otherwise. Because what is Russia going to do? They got attacked. They can't ISIS is a non-starter because it's not really a thing. I think they hired mercenaries to carry out the attack, and it was probably perpetrated by the CIA through the Ukrainians. That's the likelihood scenario because. When has the U.S. not used the CIA to do dirty shit? We know they do this. They do this all the time.
Yeah. I can get your point, but I'm gonna stick with my opinion, and you stick with yours, and we'll see who's right. We'll leave it at that because I'm not changing my mind.
All right. That's it. That's just my theory. That's my theory.
That's your theory, and I'm gonna stick with mine. I think America had something to do with it itself to take our eyes off other things going on. We have Diddy going on.
Yeah, where's Diddy?
We have all this other stuff going on, and of course, like I said before on the episode when we were talking about Diddy, I said keep your eyes open because this is a shiny object, and something bigger is going to happen. And lo and behold, 3 hours later, something bigger happened. So it's always these major things don't happen by chance, man. It's always to take our eyes off something else. So I really, my opinion is that I think our government has the ability to conduct attacks like this. And what throws up a red flag for me is the fact that Pete Buttigieg got up there and talked about racist bridges and racist structures right after all these people lost their lives and his bridge goes down. That's a red flag to me. So it makes you think why are you talking about racist bridges? And then, all these people lost their lives. And now what's another red flag is that our own federal government is willing to put up the bill for the whole bridge when that bridge is insured. So why not allow them to use their insurance? Why are you going to front the bill?
That would actually lend more credence to my argument. The reason why they're footing the bill is because it was an attack and they don't want to admit it was an attack. So now they're sweeping up. Okay, so the insurance would have to do an evaluation of the bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would have to see all the vulnerabilities and what happened. They would have to do an investigation, but if the insurance isn't involved because we're footing the bill, nobody's going to do an investigation of the bridge.
Somebody's going to do an investigation of bridge. It may not be
It
what
will
they
be the
want.
United States government doing
No,
an investigation of themselves.
I think it'd be some private investigation. Somebody's going to do the investigation. But what I'm saying is that we keep looking at Russia and conflicts and stuff like that. This goes way past. I think it's a lot deeper. It's more on the social aspect of it. When they talk about this bridge and they talk about Francis Scott Key, when you talk about the national anthem and the history of the anthem itself, this is we're going to throw black people a bone. Here, we're going to rebuild this bridge and we're going to name it after Harriet Tubman. I don't know. That's
Harriet
just a name
Tubman
I'm
Bridge.
throwing.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is where I'm getting at. It's getting close to election time. They came instantly talking about they're going to repair the bridge. They're going to say we're going to rebuild the bridge, and the name of the new bridge is going to be such and such. We need the black vote. This is all a ploy, man. And that's what I think. That's my theory. Yes, Russia and all this.
I don't doubt that they're going to rename the bridge to something with
that's what I'm saying.
in it. Like it's going to be an African American name of some sort. I don't know who.
Yeah, just something to think of. George Floyd, but just something to think of.
The George Floyd Bridge, yeah.
The George Floyd Bridge is going
George Floyd Memorial Bridge, something like that.
Yeah, probably.
The minute you get on it, we're going to give you some fentanyl. But
okay, that's actually a good one. The Obama Bridge,
or the Obama Bridge. You see where I'm getting at? Because the way I think is, why would Pete get up there and bring up racist bridges when the collapse of this bridge had nothing to do with racism? Why would you do that? Because he's telling you before it happens that they're going to pay for it and they're going to rename the bridge and they're going to get the name of the bridge, something that represents everyone, whether there's someone that's part of the LBGT community, somebody that's part of the black community, the Hispanic community. The bridge is going to get changed. Mark my words on this day, March 27th, 2024. Mark my words.
I had that thought before, just like they're going to give it. I think Layla's comment was funny. They're going to give us our 40 acres and a mew now in form of a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why they never I know like there's a bad connotation to reservations. Like, couldn't that be a good form of remuneration to the African American community, is saying, hey, you can go make your own reservation out in the vast West somewhere and make your own pseudo nation or whatever,
Have you seen Have you seen?
I know reservations aren't great. I'm not saying that's a good idea. I'm just saying, would they take it? Is the question.
I don't. Maybe. I mean, they can build
as a form of reparations. Let's just give a state or whatever, or somewhere out west with a lot of federal land, their own thing.
Well, it couldn't be in the West. It had to be in the South.
It would have to be in the West. There's lots of federal land that's being going unused that could be used.
Yeah, but I don't think people would move out in the desert, man. They'd be like, no, we're not.
It doesn't have to be in the desert. You could go like a little further north in the West. I'm just saying in the West somewhere.
I don't think it would happen.
Yeah,
they wouldn't take it.
I'm just saying it was an idea. It was an idea.
Yeah, they wouldn't. They wouldn't take it. They'd be like, no, you know what we want? We want them dollars. that's what they want.
Man. But I mean,
I don't know. It's a symbolism.
Yeah, everything is symbolism, man. And everything is symbolism. I just don't believe the narrative. I don't trust.
Oh, Rainbow Bridge? No.
I don't trust anything that these people say. So
it's going to be based off of a gay African American man or woman. There you go.
Who knows?
The bridge.
Who knows? I just know that the bridge won't be called the Francis Scott Key Bridge anymore, most likely.
No, it's going to get renamed.
They're going to change the name. They're going because the government's funding it. The government's going to rename it. We're giving you the money. We're going to rename the bridge. And they're going to rename it. They're going to rebrand it. And they're going to be like, hey, look, my marginalized people. Here's a little breadcrumb. We gave you guys a whole bridge, and get the vote, get out and vote.
Right?
Oh yeah, okay.
That's the
never mind the fact that we've been giving a bunch of illegals money over taking care of inner cities. No big deal. No worries. No worries there.
Imagine. If you think of it that way, it's like here, colored folk, here, black people, bridge, yay. Meanwhile, illegals are getting what? $10,000 a month.
They got
Yeah,
it
they're
wrong.
still giving him money and hotel rooms and like
Yeah.
tons of other government subsidies that they won't give anybody else, including homeless people.
And the
so.
sad part is, from what I've gathered by observation, like you're gonna have those blacktivist types that are gonna start clapping their hands like seals, going, "Yeah, we got a bridge named for a black person."
Yep.
We finally got our bridge.
Remember, symbolism will be their downfall, man. So just understand, pay attention to symbolism, look past the illusion. The movie that they're putting in front of us is all a movie. It's all a stage. And try to see the bigger picture. Look for the symbolism. Use your brain. Just think. And you'll start to see the bigger picture. And that's why I can never go back, man. The minute they speak, I'm like, huh, I seen it. I saw it. You can't get nothing past me because I'm always looking for the symbolism. Even when they talk, I look for it. In the words they say, I look for it. Look, if you start looking for the symbolism in the words they say, at the time they say it, and why they said it, then you can understand the reasoning behind why they do things.
Yeah.
So,
yes, it is true. Tyson and Amazon are laying off Americans to hire illegals.
Yes.
That is a fact.
Just pay attention, man. Everything is a rich man's trick. We can keep saying it. Everything is a rich man's
entanglement bridge. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. But any parting words for Coy? And Jay, you always take us out.
No. That's, like I said, that's my theory. Whether it comes true or not, I don't know. But we're pre-historians here.
Yeah, we try to be. We try to be prehistorians, but we're just good at what we do, and we're always trying to look past the illusion of the mainstream media, and we try to get you guys to see another side. We're not trying to get you guys to think like us, obviously. That's something we don't do, but we at least want you to think. Just think just a little bit and be like, it kind of made sense, Jay. Let me go look deeper into that. And if you don't bite it, it doesn't fit you. You ain't jiving with it. Don't jive with it. Keep it moving. Jay?
Yeah, just keep your eyes on the prize and don't get distracted. That's all we're saying. So,
yep. Big things are coming.
Yeah.
And the Black Swan event. Just always remember Black Swan event. Don't forget it. Yeah. Anyways.
Oh, wait, one thing for we go out. There was a literal black swan that showed up in China.
Yeah.
In the middle of their economic district. I thought that was funny. Literal black swan shows up. Anyway, there you go. That was the last bit.
All right.
So y'all like, share, comment, subscribe, and we shall see y'all Friday.
Oh.